Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to South Seattle College. We were very pleased to be able to open the bridge just for you today. I'm excited to welcome you today for coming together, our 2022 Convocation for faculty and staff across the Seattle colleges. My name is Dr. Rosie Rimando-Chareunsap, and I serve here at South as the president of the college and have been in this role since 2018. And since July, I've been serving as your acting chancellor for the Seattle colleges as well. So we're going to dive right into our program today. And with that, before we get too far, I'd like to call Mr. DeAndre Fisher, our Associate Vice Chancellor for Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, and Community, to the stage for our land acknowledgements.
Greetings. Please gather with me as we read off our land and labor acknowledgement. Today we recognize and honor the original occupants and stewards of the land where we now gather virtually. Many of us join this meeting from the lands that are traditional homes of the Coast Salish people, the traditional homes of all tribes and bands within the Duwamish, Suquamish, Tulalip, and Muckleshoot nations. Today we honor the survival, the adaptation, the fossilization, and the resilience and the creativity of the Native people, past, present, and future. We encourage participants to consider their responsibility to the people and land, both here and elsewhere, to stand in solidarity with our Native, Indigenous, First Nations people, their sovereignty, cultural heritage, and lives. We also pause to recognize the labor upon which our country, state, and institutions are built. We remember that our country is built on the labor of enslaved people who were kidnapped and brought to the U.S. from African continents, and recognize and continue the contributions of their survivors. We also acknowledge all immigrants' labor, including voluntary, involuntary, trafficked, forced, and undocumented peoples who continue to build the building of this country and continue to serve within our labor force. We acknowledge all unpaid caregiving labor. To the people who contribute this immeasurable amount of work, to their descendants, we acknowledge their indelible mark on this space in which we gather today. Let this be our collective responsibility to critically interrogate the histories, repair the harm, to honor, protect, and sustain this beloved earth. Ashe, ashe, ashe.
Thank you, DeAndre. I want to thank our EDI colleagues for developing this practice of land and labor acknowledgements across the colleges. If this is new for you, please know that land and labor acknowledgement is a starting point for being intentional about recognizing indigeneity and the histories that came before us and the work that we do now. And I encourage you to further this with your own individual learning, sharing with each other the ways that you're learning, the ways that you're growing, and seeking knowledge around this intention, and so that these aren't just statements we read at the beginning of meetings or gatherings, that they are also meaningful in an ongoing way in the ways that we're going to evolve our colleges and our work together. Before I dive in any further, I want to take a moment to thank South's catering staff and culinary students for catering our breakfast and our lunch later today, and they've been busy. Yes. Our Brockey Center staff in particular have been busy since last year bringing events back, and so we're happy to have one for our own community of Seattle College's colleagues as well. I'd also like to acknowledge SCC TV for live streaming today's program on seattlecolleges.tv, and they'll also have it available on demand as well. So to everybody watching at home, thank you for tuning in, and thank you very much to the SCC TV crew. And in that vein, I'd also like to thank our e-learning team for supporting the hybrid workshops that you'll be engaging in later, and our colleagues at home or coming in remotely will be engaging in later as well. And one last housekeeping note. This is the movie theater announcement. Please silence your phones so everyone can enjoy the program and so that you don't embarrass yourself by having everybody hear what you've chosen as your ringtone. We do have an engaging morning ahead, so we'll go ahead and get started. Joining me in today's program is Seattle College's Board of Trustees Chair, Louise Chernin, Trustee Steve Hill, Bradley Lane, Dr. Bradley Lane, Interim President of Seattle Central, and very soon, North Seattle President, Dr. Shameen Crawford as well. Our trustees, Teresita Batayola, Brian Surratt, and Rosa Peralta send their regrets. They're unable to be with us this morning. Members of the executive leadership team for the Seattle Colleges are seated up front and around the room, so I'll call your name out and give a wave so folks can recognize you, starting with Dr. Kurt Buttleman, Vice Chancellor for Academic and Student Success, Terrence Chow, Vice Chancellor for Finance and Operations, Associate Vice Chancellors Cindy Ritchie for Information Technology, Ernest Phillips for Communication and Strategic Initiatives, and DeAndre Fisher, you met earlier, for Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, and Community, Kathy Kwilinski, Executive Director of International Education, and unable to join us today, but here in spirit, are Steve Leahy, Director of Government Relations, Carrie Howell, Vice Chancellor of Advancement, and Jennifer Dixon, Vice Chancellor of HR. So please join me in another round of applause for all the folks that have joined us today. And now, a long-standing tradition for Convocation is a greeting from each of our 3 employee unions. And so I'd like to welcome Mr. Johnny Dwyer, President for the Washington Federation of State Employees, Local 304, Annette Stouffer, President of the American Federation of Teachers, Local 1789, and Cody Hyatt, President of the American Federation of Teachers, Seattle Professional Staff. Please come forward to the podium. Johnny, you're up first. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for enduring the worst public speaker in the history of public speaking. My name is Johnny Dwyer, and I am an IT worker serving the Seattle Colleges district. Hey, boss. I've been with the colleges for over 6 years and look forward to many more. I'm also a graduate of a Seattle Central IT program and utilized funds from workforce retraining. My career here is a statement to how our institution can impart the skills which lead to better jobs, and the college has got a pretty okay employee out of the deal too. In addition, I am president of the Washington Federation of State Employees, Local 304, representing classified employees at the colleges and across King County. It is in this role that I was asked to share some comments at Convocation 2022. Let me first take a moment to congratulate all classified staff at the Seattle Colleges. This institution does not run without our labor, period. We keep the lights on, we keep the campuses safe, we prepare the classrooms, we scrub the toilets, we register students for classes, and we even perform the groundwork which props up college administration. I'll say it again, the colleges are powered by working class labor, as is our entire world. We have not faltered in our service to the school, even while enduring unprecedented hardship over the past 2 years. We braved a pandemic to perform our work every day, often while administrators remained safely at home. We've seen our staffing in almost every department slashed to dangerously low levels. We've been forced to take on more work to compensate for budget cuts and short staffing. We've watched our wages stagnate to the point where we cannot keep up with the cost of living in the very community we serve. Despite this, our commitment to this community has not wavered, and each one of us should take a measure of pride in that. Thanks to incredible organized efforts from across this district, our union scored some recent victories. In mid-contract cycle, we secured modest salary increases to all our represented job classes, as well as one-time payments to our lowest paid members. We are at the bargaining table with our employer right now, fighting to add worker protections into our contract, as well as negotiating additional salary adjustments. WFC members, please visit our table outside if you'd like more information or are interested in joining this fight. Remember that our union is not a service. It is a movement we build together as coworkers. Some of our struggles, particularly wages, working conditions, and staffing, should be highly discomforting for this administration. Despite the platitudes of "we're all in this together," our union has not seen such equity extended to us. Our union regularly raises the issue of recruitment and retention with current salary figures. Administration tells us they agree and are as frustrated as we are, yet they stymie us during negotiations. Our employer's current salary offering at the bargaining table does not even address inflation, to say nothing of the cost of simply existing in King County. We cannot retain skilled workers, and the new hires we do make in any department often leave once they get a look at how the sausage is presently made. Meanwhile, administration burns money by contracting our work, which they should have full staff to perform in the first place. When our union attempts to simply address working conditions at the college, Human Resources tells us that we're welcome to seek employment elsewhere. There always seems to be room on the books for a new executive director or a new vice chancellor of something or other. Sorry, they're just so hard to keep track of these days. But not so much care given to the critical frontline personnel who actually keep our colleges running. In the spirit of cooperation, which brings us all to Convocation, our union issues a call to college administration, particularly the Chancellor's Executive Cabinet. Help us. Make real differences in our lives by partnering with us for better salaries, a better work environment, and the staffing we need to safely run this college. The Executive Cabinet and the trustees need to be alongside us, beating down doors in Olympia and making sure this institution is funded properly, including real salary adjustments for the workers whose labor powers the college. We don't need a pizza party or another wine o'clock social hour at Siegel Center. We need real material improvements. Set aside your own ambition and enrichment for a moment to recognize that we are at a crossroads. We cannot go on like this and expect our institution to operate effectively. The current model will fade us into a shadow of our full potential. Our community deserves better. Our city, our staff, and certainly our students. Support higher wages for classified staff, support better working conditions, support safe staffing levels, and up the working class.
Next, please welcome to the podium Annette Stouffer, President of AFT.
Good morning to everyone. I'm Annette Stouffer, the President of AFT Seattle Community Colleges, Local 1789, representing all of the faculty of the Seattle Colleges District. I'm also part-time faculty here at South, and I really miss my home campus. It makes me smile to be here in person today. I'm so happy to be an educator. Whether I'm in the classroom, I'm going to hold this up higher, sorry. Whether I'm in the classroom or fulfilling my role with the union, I experience the joys of teaching. There are challenges and rewards every single day. I'm equally happy to be a union member. Through my many years here, I've seen the power of the union to bring about change and protect our rights. Across the nation, many others are seeing the vital role of unions for achieving social and economic justice. This is an exciting time. Bringing the focus back to our own situation, in the last few years, there have been too many challenges and too few rewards for faculty and staff. I'm not going to name them. You all know because you lived through it. As we move forward out of the pandemic, we will return, rebuild, and revise. As we take these steps forward, I urge us all to pledge that we won't settle for less than we deserve. Mainly, we won't settle for austerity. Our students deserve rich environments in which to learn. Our programs deserve up-to-date equipment, technology, and tools with which to teach. Our faculty and staff deserve good salaries that reward skill and dedication. We deserve wages that recognize the cost of living that is making it untenable for so many to stay here. Our colleges deserve strong funding. It's time to end the years of disinvestment by the state of Washington that led to such things as last spring's near closure of some amazing programs at Seattle Central. I bring these up because austerity was the driving factor. I bring these up because the main tool to fight austerity is our voices. I bring these up because we are seeing right now how our united voices, administrators, trustees, faculty, staff, and student alumni, are getting attention from those who can end the austerity and support our colleges to be even more excellent than we already are. We won't settle for austerity. It will take all of us together to make that happen. Please use your voice to educate family, friends, neighbors, community leaders, and of course, legislators. Let's get everything we deserve. Thank you.
Next up, please welcome Cody Hyatt, President of AFT SPS.
Good morning, Seattle colleges, employees, administrators, and staff. So glad to have you here this morning. I'm supposed to start with an icebreaker, and I can't think of anything more appropriate than when President Rimando-Chareunsap had her first President's Day in 2018. I was VP of South Professional Staff at the time, and I opened with, well, she opened with, because she went first, she said, "Oh, I got on Twitter. You could find me now on Twitter as Dr. Rosie," in which I had to say, I think it was Pope Benedict that got on Twitter and then, stepped down from from being a pope. Thankfully, President Rimando-Chareunsap did not step down and has risen to the occasion. The other acknowledgement I'd want to give out in the spirit of coming together is the professional and technical staff who have tirelessly made this event happen year over year, no matter what the format, in remote operations, in video. I'd like to specifically acknowledge Paulette Eichmann, lead graphic designer at the district office. And Matt DeMayo, South's Director of Auxiliary Services. But the core of our mission really is education. And I can't think, and it is a long-term process. That's why I can't think of anyone better to acknowledge than Annie Garrett, the BAS Program Manager at North for Early Childhood Education. All right. Graduates from this program really start education at the infancy and hopefully find their way through Seattle Public Schools into Seattle Promises program and furthering their education wherever their goals may be. Furthermore, Melissa Martinez, our BAS program manager at Central for Health and Human Services, guiding students through a pathway to result in a rewarding career in healthcare. Melissa. All these exemplary pro staff have a few things in common. They're deeply committed to this institution, and we have a board of trustees and an acting chancellor that's interested in retaining these qualified and exceptional staff. That's why we would like to also acknowledge the receptivity and listening to our calls for equity to match what the state has provided with WFC with a $2,000 one-time payment. We could clap for that. A retention schedule that rewards years of service going forward. And a comprehensive salary study to address any sort of inequalities with our wages, the last one which was conducted in 2014. We are grateful to have a board of trustees who's responding to the needs and challenges and commissioning a workforce task force to address the shortfalls in the state funding, where we as union members have a role in organizing and lobbying the state as well. Thank you for your time, everyone.
Thank you to all of our union leaders and our union members in the room as well. We have more than 2,000 faculty and staff at Seattle colleges, and this year we are recognizing 4 of them with the Trustees Lifelong Learning Award. The award celebrates their outstanding commitment and dedication to our students, to their jobs, and to working together. These awards were established in 1991 to help support the intellectual and professional growth of Seattle College's employees. Each of today's awardees will receive a $1,500 gift toward that goal. The awards have special meaning because the nominations are submitted by you, their colleagues. Please welcome to the podium Board Trustee Louise Chernin and Trustee Steve Hill to present the awards today.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Louise Chernin, and my pronouns are she, her. And I am just thrilled to be here today. We are in person. We are in person after almost 3 years. So I'm really thrilled about that. I want to thank our union leadership. Everything that you said is something that we do support, and I will be in Olympia fighting for higher wages. Your Board of Trustees, and Steve Hill is here, and those who aren't, we firmly believe that we have incredible talent in our faculty and our staff, and we have to honor them by ensuring they do have a living wage, a good wage, because Seattle is a very expensive city. I wish we had all the power we could in the legislature, but we're making headway. As Cody said, we are meeting with legislators almost weekly right now. And so is the state board, and it is their #1 priority, is a wage increase for all faculty and staff. So we are definitely have the absolute cream of the crop, I believe, at Seattle colleges. We have 3 incredible college presidents, amazing, Dr. Shameen Crawford and Dr. Bradley Lane, and of course our Dr. Rosie Rimando-Chareunsap, who's also our acting chancellor. And vice chancellors, and all of you, and yes, every single person who works at the colleges. We are, I mean, our students are lucky, and we are lucky because we have the most amazing students as well. So I am really thrilled to be here today to recognize the accomplishments. I mean, you've had a hard, all of us had a hard, almost 3 years trying to learn to teach in new ways at a moment's notice while you were also trying to take care of your families. And it has been a very, very difficult time, but you persevered. And I cannot tell you, I believe our community is stronger because of all the work that you have done to make sure that students always came first. And I thank you for that. We are so grateful. So today, to honor specific awardees, it's very hard to, everybody always says that when there are a few people who get something. Oh, it was a hard decision. But it was a hard decision because I wish every one of you were standing up here, but to know that you are respected and admired. So I want to first begin with the first of the Trustees Lifelong Learning Award goes to Norris Daniel. And, good to see you. Norris, absolutely, you deserve all of that. A full-time faculty in early childhood education at North Seattle College. Norris Daniel has spent nearly 3 decades as an educator, mentor, leader, and advocate for North Seattle College's early childhood education program. She has earned copious praise from her peers and fellow educators for her tireless commitment and enthusiasm. In her 28 years with North Seattle College, 28 years, thank you. 29. She has supported and inspired entire generations of educators, and in her role as lead faculty mentor for the ECE program, she has helped many new faculty find their footing, supporting them as they in turn go on to do good works as well. Norris's advocacy has not been confined to North Seattle College. Her peers have praised her work at the local and state level to support children, families, and early care and education professionals all across Washington. This work led to the recent creation of the Norris E. Daniel Fellowship, which supports 3 BIPOC multilingual alumni of North Seattle College's early childhood education program through a master's degree with mentoring and support to successfully enter the higher education faculty pool. Not yet. Many of Norris's peers have come forward to praise her leadership, warmth, and vision. As one of her fellow faculty members said, Nora is intentional with every interaction and seeks to bring out the true potential in all of us with kindness, humility, humor, depth, and authenticity. She shines her light for all to see each and every day. She is a true gift to us, to this program, to the college, and to the field of early childhood education. Please join me in a resounding round of applause for Norris Daniel. Congratulations. And if the pandemic showed us anything, it's early childhood education is essential for us to survive. Thank you. The next... Thanks. The next recipient is Cecilia Jimenez, Administrative Assistant for Mainstay Sales at Seattle Central College. Wonderful to see you. We have a lot of rock stars. For the last 6 years, Cecilia has been, I didn't even know it said that here, a rock of dependability. I said a rock star, I like that better, for her team at Seattle Central College. Her work with the Mainstay Sales programs has earned her a reputation as a model of patience, determination, grit, and positivity. And her willingness to learn new processes, collaborate across teams, and share knowledge have all been called out by her peers, earning her this award. As well as praising her work ethic and willingness to share her knowledge with others, Cecilia's peers praised her for her commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, citing her work with hiring teams for Central to ensure their staff reflect the diversity of their community. Her furthering of outreach to underserved schools and programs, and her dedication to the students and job seekers Mainstay Sales serves directly. Cecilia is described by her nominator as a dedicated problem solver who can be counted on to work tirelessly for solutions, saying, "She stretches herself to learn every day. She challenges herself to take extra professional trainings to better herself and any team she works on. If she doesn't know the answer, she will find it. If she doesn't know how to do something, she will learn it. Then she'll teach others." It is my pleasure to present this award to Cecilia Jimenez. And we all know that our administrative assistants really help us get the job done. So special thanks. Okay, our next recipient is Stephanie Dykes. I have to say, I'm personally very excited about giving this award to Stephanie. She and I have known each other for a number of years. We've served on committees bringing scholarships to LGBTIQ+ students, and we are pretty fortunate to have you on this side of this team. So Stephanie is the Executive Director of Institutional Effectiveness at North Seattle College. As North Seattle College's Executive Director of Institutional Effectiveness, Stephanie Dykes has earned a reputation as a skilled leader, collaborator, and as a champion for diversity and inclusion efforts. Her peers praise her deep commitment to the students of North Seattle College, as well as her commitment to raising awareness of transgender issues in the higher education, healthcare, and society. I just have to add that given the attacks that are going on around the world, but most especially in this country right now, to our trans siblings, I have to say, having someone who has courage to be herself, to speak out, and to be for our students a support and an advocate is a gift that we need to be thankful for every day, because if we had this in every college, we would be in a different place. Stephanie has used her time at North Seattle College to increase visibility of critical data around student success, race, and ethnicity, helping create systems to more accurately track and report key demographic information. She also volunteers her time to committees such as North Seattle Community College's accreditation team, Title III R&D Committee, Statewide Research and Planning Commission, and Demographics Committee. As well as devoting her time to her numerous committee responsibilities, she has delivered numerous presentations on the transgender experience in academia, and also finds time to volunteer as an announcer and/or singer. I just learned this, I'm going to be calling on you, during campus celebrations and events such as the North Seattle College Grad Fair, annual holiday party, and annual service awards. I am honored to work with Stephanie at North, and am inspired by her calm and steady approach, said one of her peers. Stephanie has been and continues to be an outstanding colleague whose daily presence and way of relating emphasizes that we are learners together. How about a big round of applause for Stephanie Dykes? This is pretty amazing. I hope your hearts are filling up today, because we don't get a lot of chances to celebrate and feel really good about things. We need that now more than ever. Our fourth recipient is Chris Sanders. Chris? Great. Thank you, Chris. Chris is part-time faculty in electronics at North Seattle College. Chris Sanders has dedicated himself to North Seattle College's electronics program for more than 30 years. First as a student, then a lab assistant, and eventually a part-time faculty member. Today, he serves North Seattle College as the electronics lab manager while continuing to teach electronics courses as part-time faculty. Chris's peers have praised his bottomless well of patience and kindness in his roles both as an educator and as a lab manager, where he has for decades led students and faculty in operating the lab's electronic systems, as well as teaching users to operate the equipment in the electronics lab. He spends long hours maintaining and repairing the lab's many tools, components, and test equipment, and can often be found in the lab long into the evening. Chris's nomination was accompanied by considerable praise for his collaborative spirit and commitment to the college, saying, Chris's leadership and management of the NSC electronics labs is a testament to professionalism and fostering a spirit of cooperation with both students and faculty. So today, please join me in a big round of applause for Chris and all of that he's done. And also, as we gather, we're going to gather for a photo, but for all of the four recipients, they are amazing. Whatever. I'll say we'll be quick, but I'm never quick.
It's now our pleasure to recognize one of the many transformative initiatives at Seattle Colleges. Seattle Colleges is one of the 19 charter members of the League for Innovation in the Community College, a select group of colleges recognized for ongoing innovation in higher education. Every year, the League honors one important program from each of the charter colleges. The 2022 Innovation of the Year Award for Seattle Colleges goes to Springboard 8. Springboard 8 is a cohort-based student support program for Black identifying men offered in partnership between Seattle Central College and Slalom, a business and technology consulting firm headquartered here in Seattle. The program works to close the opportunity gap for Black men and help them get to graduation. It supports students in earning their post-secondary degrees by building connections to navigate professional, academic, and business worlds, and developing valuable career and community networks to realize their dreams. Students in Springboard 8 receive support from peers and professional coaches, professional development, career guidance, tuition coverage, and incremental financial awards on the path toward completion. They are also placed into teams of 8 that are led by 2 coaches who are mid and senior level professionals at Slalom. Students meet regularly with one another to discuss various personal and professional topics. It is a great program and another example of who we are and what we can do here at Seattle Colleges. Will the Innovation Awardees please stand if they are present when I read your names in alphabetical order by last name? Jenny Brandstad, Executive Director for Instruction and Planning. Brandon Carroll, Program Specialist 3 for Advising and Career Services. We will also be recognizing several of our previous employees, including Kyle Darling, our previous Director of Financial Aid and Veterans Affairs. Dennis Denman, our Director of Student Leadership. This will get entertaining, I just know. Sheila Edwards-Lang, our past president at Seattle Central College. Flory Greenhill, our previous assistant director of advising and career services. Eric Greer, director of advising and career services. Yoshiko Harden, who served as interim president and vice president of student services. Michaela Harris, our director of equity, diversity, and inclusion. Jessica Neruzzi, our previous executive director of strategic partnerships. Malcolm Prevost, a former intern in the president's office. A.K. Sterling, a previous interim executive director in the Office of Strategic Partnerships. And finally, Chiquita Wright, a previous community relations associate in strategic partnerships. Finally, I want to acknowledge the current leadership of Springboard 8, Eustace Mazila, who is director of the program. Yeah, you have joined me in a wonderful round of applause for all of them. Thank you very much.
Well, once again, thank you and congrats to all of our colleagues once again. I also know that beyond the Lifelong Learning Awards and the Innovation of the Year, that there's many more accolades and pride points from across the three colleges and the district office and across this room. So for all of those awards and all of those accomplishments, whether they're individual or in teams, I also want to applaud you and affirm that the excellence that you all strive for are what drive the Seattle colleges forward. So thanks to all of you. So how many of you got to travel over the West Seattle Bridge today? No group is more thrilled than we are here at South, especially those of us who typically rely on the bridge on a day-to-day basis and have been getting here via Georgetown every day for the last 2 years. And for those that know me, you know that I love a good metaphor. I was an English major. I was an English teacher when I started my career. And for those that don't know me as well, let me apologize in advance because I also have a knack for mixing or butchering metaphors as well. But how appropriate is the metaphor of crossing a bridge that was once closed and broken for the work that we do in the Seattle colleges? Bridges connect disconnected areas. They create or ease access. They literally rise above conditions that are difficult or impossible to traverse easily or safely. Bridges are perhaps an overused metaphor for our work, but overused for a reason, because it's true. Through our college transfer degrees, we're bridges to universities. Through our workforce development programs, we are bridges into meaningful and fulfilling careers for students. And we're a bridge from the communities that we serve to our students' educational, career, and lifelong aspirations. And in the midst of injustice, disparities, and inequities of many, many kinds, the Seattle Colleges also aspires to be bridges from disenfranchisement and exclusion to belonging and to personal agency. So when I think about how the West Seattle Bridge closed down unexpectedly March 23rd, 2020, and how it just reopened 2 days ago in time for us to gather here today, I can't help but draw these parallels as we come together for Convocation today. It is impossible to mark a return to district-wide in-person events without first acknowledging a key group of people. Please join me in recognizing our colleagues in security, facilities, custodial, grounds, and in other similar areas who've been here all along. They've been keeping our campuses safe for those who've been here. They've been managing our physical infrastructure. I was going to ask them to stand and be acknowledged, but thank you all for standing and giving that ovation, because it is much, much deserved. But they're really who have been keeping our lights on while many of us were able to work remotely or make other shifts in our work modality. And our colleges could not have run, it is true, could not have run and continue running without them. I'm sure we would have had burst pipes, we would have had other mechanical type failures and other types of surprises had they not remained dedicated throughout the pandemic. As I look to the fall quarter, thank you. As I look to the fall quarter and the academic year ahead of all of us, it's indeed a re-emerging. While I know that our many workforce programs have been operating in person since summer 2020 almost without interruption, for the district overall, we have been steadily turning up the dial towards more in-person work and learning, especially since the last year. As the pandemic evolves, and most importantly, as our students and community needs evolve, we must continue to keep pace and continue the flexibility we've learned over these last 2 years. I applaud our student services and our instructional colleagues for the many ways they've evolved the students' experience throughout this pandemic. You've been navigating on the ground what it means like to be online, in-person, hybrid, all the things, and to maintain the flexibility that's been demanded of us at this time. And like every other organization or business or college around us, we saw every weakness in our system exploited by the pandemic conditions. Specifically, I'll talk about two primary areas of challenge for us have been enrollment and, as a result of that, financial. In terms of enrollment, our challenges are well documented. Between the general population declines we had been seeing even before the pandemic, dramatic declines as a result of the pandemic, we now see a slow return to our colleges, and actually all the colleges across the state are seeing a slow return as well. We also know that our students' preferences are changing, and we must remember that our student body is not a monolith. They are expressing to us that they want a mix of in-person, online, hybrid, depending on who they are and maybe what they're studying as well. And though we face changing external factors and also changing economic factors, we actually know a lot about how to make things better for our students, and also what barriers that already exist that need to change. So as we consider how to work together in the coming year to bring students back, we must do so with the focus on where we already have agency and expertise, so that we can also quickly muster the institutional will to make these changes. I want to challenge us to get upstream from these consistent barriers, to eliminate them instead of simply finding more ways to help our students get around them. An example of this work was started last year when former Chancellor Pan tasked Dr. Shameen Crawford with working with financial aid departments to improve our financial aid practices and services across the district. Between her career expertise in this area and the expertise of our financial aid colleagues, they've been working hard on preparing some changes, and we will learn more about them as our work picks up once again this fall. I also think that the Reengineering Enrollment Task Force work that kicked off last year, which brought together several of our enrollment experts across the district as an effort in barrier busting. Over the summer, our admissions colleagues have worked together to identify key steps to take to remove barriers that are at our front door. We are currently preparing to invest in easing the application process, improving the customer service of our prospective and new students, and to implement strong recruitment strategies and resources towards this goal. Now that we're back for the academic year, you can look forward to more details on these redesigns and these targeted investments later this fall. So you might be wondering how barrier busting and enrollment might relate to our guided pathways work. I don't think of this barrier busting as a separate initiative from Guided Pathways. I actually consider this prerogative and focus to be really in service of the work that our Guided Pathways teams and the Guided Pathways redesign work has been working on, especially as it helps clarify the path for students. So after all, how useful is a clear path for students when there isn't a reliable road to travel on, or a good bridge, if you will? It says pause for groan. If the pandemic exploited every weakness in our systems, then in our recovery or return from the pandemic, we must be laser focused in addressing them. While there's a lot of improvement work to be done, and much that's already led by our Guided Pathways teams, once again, I am inviting us across the Seattle colleges to get laser focused on removing barriers to enrollment and persistence for our students. We know all too well some of the barriers that exist. You see them all too clearly from your perspectives across the colleges, and can define the change that's needed. And especially when you consider that those students who've been historically excluded from higher education are Black, are Indigenous, Brown, immigrant, and many, too many others, the removal of these barriers are critical steps toward a more just education experience and a practice that further advances us towards our aspirations to be anti-racist here in the Seattle colleges. On to finance. Our other greatest and perhaps most public area of challenge is around our finances and our budget. You are well aware of the hardships we're facing as a district to address our budget. Our financial challenges are a direct result of declining enrollments across the colleges and in some key areas, and we know that we're not alone in this, considering the community colleges across the state. There is no sugarcoating this challenge we're facing, nor the conflicts that these budget discussions have stoked across the district and at the colleges. We are also facing these financial challenges at what certainly feels like the most expensive time in our history. Inflation and living expenses, especially in our region, are skyrocketing far above what COLAs, the cost of living adjustments, can support. Despite these challenges, I also want to tell you why I think that we should have some hope. System-wide, and as mentioned by Chair Chernin earlier, the presidents and the state board have submitted a request to the governor's office and soon to the legislators for a $157 million competitive compensation package that would increase salaries by 13% over the next 2 years. Compensation is the top priority of the state budget request because this pain is universally felt throughout our CTC system. In addition, the statewide budget ask that we've endorsed also seeks additional funds, $77 million for the system, to better address the challenges we face running workforce development programs with high costs, specialized equipment, small class sizes, and expensive consumables. Here in the Seattle colleges, we have boats and we have airplane hangars for classrooms. We're training students in the most advanced technologies out there in industries, and our funding systems simply do not account for these factors when we're allocated as a system. So in the coming months, alongside our trustees, Seattle College's leaders will certainly work to educate our legislators about why these should be funded. And also, we have been at the table all along pushing for this as a system-wide response, not simply something that we're facing alone. But within the Seattle colleges, we have work to do as well around our budget. I know that as leaders that are responsible for the colleges and our budgets, we really need to focus on what I believe these three things. First is stabilization of our budget and finance office workforce to help ensure that the knowledge, expertise, technical skill, and support for the colleges and the district office are in place to carry out these complex responsibilities. Like in many, many areas around the colleges, we've seen departures in this area that diminish our capacity to serve. So we must focus on getting these vacancies filled. We also need, number two, clarity around the numbers. We need to strengthen our existing reporting practices and develop stronger and consistent methods to communicate widely about our ongoing budget management and budget development work with everyone in the district. And finally, a third thing, support for budget managers. A budget is a plan. It's an intention, and often the pressure to execute effectively on that plan is on the shoulders of our budget managers, those deans, directors, and managers, and the VPs across the district who handle various pieces of the overall district-wide or college budgets. And you all have done so at a point when our systems for budget management have changed from legacy to C2C Link. So further support is needed to help you all navigate those budgets effectively and to inform the budget development process at the colleges and at Siegel Center to be sure we're in support of our overall goals. So thanks, Cody. Have a seat. These are not the only actions needed to address the budget challenges we're facing, but I believe that these can bring a greater sense of stability so that together we're in a much better place to solve these problems together. I also want to thank our business office colleagues, our business office and finance staff colleagues across the district at each of the colleges and at Siegel. Your work's been incredibly challenging since C2C Link, since February 2021, and you've been working hard at a time when our budget and our practices are under a microscope. Thank you for your expertise and your commitment to the Seattle colleges and our students. And I have to also thank our budget managers, who are not necessarily finance and budget people, and who've been learning this work all over again in a new system and in a quickly changing environment. It's because of the hard work of all of you who touched the budget that we've been able to minimize the shortfall we initially anticipated at the end of last year. You can learn more about that in the Board of Trustees meeting in October, when our trustees will consider our year-end financials from 2021 to 2022 and also finalize our 2022-2023 budget. So thank you all for being here today. Despite these challenges, my entire reason for remaining in the Seattle colleges for the last 22 years has been completely about the people. You all and our students. We are all here because of that fundamental commitment to help others reach their goals, to fulfill a mission that speaks to each of our hearts in a unique way. You could choose to work elsewhere, but you choose to be here, and for that I am incredibly grateful. So please take the time today to enjoy coming together with our colleagues, build or revive connections across the colleges and with Siegel Center. Having served in this district-wide role for the last several weeks, I've easily discovered that what I loved for decades at South is present across North, Central, and Siegel. And by the way, I do know that it's the North Tree Frogs. Sorry, Northies. Tree frogs. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch my promo video from earlier this week and see it live. It's a little cringeworthy. Central Tigers. The Seagulls, I've named them the Seagulls. But I've easily discovered that what I've loved for decades here at South is present everywhere, and that is an unrelenting dedication of its people. So thank you, have a great day, and have a great year, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Rosie, and thank you all for participating in our program today. My name is Barb Childs. I am supposed to be the fun ambassador, but in the interest of time, we had some giveaways that we were going to do right at the end here. But in the interest of time, because we have some fabulous workshops that are happening right after this, we are going to move our giveaways to lunch. So that's incentive to come back. And join us for some giveaways at lunch. But I do want to acknowledge our new bookstore vendor, Follett. So come back at lunch for those giveaways. And also I want to acknowledge the centerpieces that are on your table. Those were grown right here from our landscape horticulture program. So thank you for those. A couple of housekeeping notes before we depart. Those of you look beautiful today, handsome and beautiful. Everybody came looking their best for headshots. So thank you to Cameron Karsten and his crew for taking photos for us today. If you want to have your photo taken, that will be open until 2 p.m. If you want to bring your office or department to have a group shot done, you may do that as well. So go and line up and have that done. We would love to see your faces up in our people directory so we can get to know each other across our district. The last piece, as you depart to your workshops, if you pick up your program, on the back of your program is the list of the workshops. They'll also be on screen here as you're leaving, and they're on the doors to the Olympic Hall, which is right out these doors. if you want to head out there. There's also a listing of the workshops at the center of your table. So there's workshop information everywhere. Don't miss out on those presentations by your colleagues who have volunteered to lead those this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us at Convocation 2022. Thank you.